Well, welcome back everybody to another episode of Workshop Simulator. Before we jump into this episode, I want to actually make it clear to you and kind of give you this. There was a few hot fixes that came out recently, and if you don't know what a hot fix is, it's basically a little bit quick update into the game to kind of fix a few things. Now, I'm not going to go over the entire list because it did fix quite a bit of stuff. It doesn't fix everything, but there, some big issues that were out there did fix. So it fixed a lot of crashing issues. It fixed a lot of optimization that needed to happen and things like that. But the real thing I wanted to share with you is this coming straight from the developers themselves. So this is a little bit of a paragraph here. So this is straight from the developers. This will be the last round of hot fixes. So they're not going to do any more hot fixes for right now because they're going to be focusing on bigger updates of the versions of the game. So this will be the last round of hot fixes done for this version of the game, as we will be moving towards bigger issues and changes that require a bit more work to be finished, including adding sorely needed features. So they know the community is asking for a lot of features and they are going to be adding that to the game. So that's what they're going to be focusing on right now. So features, what are those? More colors available. So they are going to be adding more colors to the game, so don't worry, it will eventually come. They're working on it right now, and they are also, as they say, are going to be adding more brushes. So they're going to be adding additional brushes so you can do finer tuning, finer lining, finer painting. I'm not an artist, but finer things on your designs, or finer designs on your items here in Workshop Simulator. So I just wanted to let you guys know that they are doing that and that things are in motion. So let's go ahead and jump into some more Workshop Simulator. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to have you here. Like this game a lot. I enjoy it. I enjoy the story. I enjoy the items, and I'm glad that the devs did come out and make a few hot fixes, and I'm glad they're listening to the community about more colors. And I didn't even think for myself, like, yeah, having more finer brushes, yeah, why not? That's probably a really good idea as well, especially for people that want to get all fancy dancy on it, right? I myself isn't good, and I'm not good at, artistic things, but anything artistic related, anything drawing or anything like that, I'm not good at it personally, but I'm glad that people will have that option to do that. All right, so again, like I said, they had a few more optimization. Now, one thing I didn't, like I said, I didn't read the entire change log or fix log that they had with these because there was 2 hot fixes in the past day or so, and I think, at least, hopefully, my hope here is that they fix the zooming in and out issue. But I guess we're gonna have to see here as we go into this. Right, let's go, and I think we're done with today. So let's go ahead and just jump into the next day. We are going on September 11th. All right, let's go. Yep. All right. So let's see what we have in the mail today. This is from Grandma Mabel. So good morning, grandson. Oh, I'm very happy to hear you took a look at the slides yourself. It's really heartwarming to know it all still works. I can't wait until I get back to look at them myself. I really want to save one slide for the future onto a computer. I asked around and found a place that can do that for me for a very reasonable price. I'll send you copies too. Oh, and how am I doing? I'm doing fine, son. I surprised myself at being able to climb a small hill with no problems. There's still strength in these old bones. Why, if I could get my hands on sewing on a sewing machine, I'd still make beautiful suits and dresses, just like old times. Unfortunately, the one I love broke. I suspect something is either stuck inside the gears or they too rusted with time. It has been a long time while since I used this. I am a little scared of the electric ones. The needle moves way faster, too fast for my old eyes, so I'll have to depend on you again. It's in my bedroom on the table. If you need anything for it, Jacob kept some of my spare parts in his shed, but I doubt anything needs replacing. The machine is as it has always been. No one touched it at all this time, so you should be a matter of opening it up and giving it a little bit more love. Well, wonderful, Grandma. Let's do it. Yeah. So it looks like we're going into the sewing machine. All right. Love the sewing machine. Now, I know what she's talking about with the whole electric sewing machine and how scary it is. Like Danielle had a sewing machine. I think she still does have a sewing machine. Yeah, she still does have a sewing machine because she does little crafts and all that. But I get nervous just watching it. Like, I don't want to sew my fingers and stuff like that. But there we go. Awesome. Cool. Grandma's room. This must be Grandma's room. Yeah. Just take a moment. Pretty basic. This clock has no hands on it. How does she tell time? I don't know. All right. Let's go down. Let's go through. And let's go get our sewing machine done. Now, I honestly don't know. Like, all I knew was, I know there's like, isn't there like pedal sewing machines and then there's the electric sewing machines? Yeah. So classic, oh yeah, there you go. Foot pedal. Foot operated sewing machine, completely manually operated. Requires practice to keep track of everything, but needs no electricity, just personal patience. So cool. All right, let's break this thing open. Well, not break it open. Let's bring it open. Oh, this is going to be a big one. This is going to take 2 different trays. Oh, yo, yo. We're going to have fun with this, aren't we? But it looks really, really good. Now, I can't tell what color it was before this. That's all right, I guess. This should be fairly easy to just kind of tear apart, right? At least that's what I think it should. Yeah, let's go from the top. Yeah, there we go. Check the, oh, there we go. Go. Okay. Oh, to the bottom. Go. Cool. So I'm glad some of you guys are really enjoying this game, because I am. I'm enjoying it for sure. I definitely think it's a pretty fun game. It is. It is a pretty fun game. I just really like the stories and like the you know, the emails and reading about and having like people be more interactive. They could have definitely went a different route with this game. They could have just like gave you assignments and said like good luck, have a good one, right? And they didn't, and I'm grateful that they didn't. So, only hang on, I didn't even check the, like, what I mean by that is like they could have just gave you a list and been like, oh yeah, get this. This is for someone, and this is from this client. So, you know, complete it. But I'm glad that everyone has their own backstory on what's going on here. Let's go there. There we go. Take that off. Take that off. Okay. Okay. Now, this button that I'm pressing here, this is the Alt button. This shows you what needs to be, you know, pushed out and what, you know, all that nonsense. It would be cool if this was, like, toggled. Like, if you could just press and toggle. I'm holding it down currently, which can be a little bit of a pain. It's all right. This thing is so... I wonder what they did. I'm really, really curious. Is this fixed? Hang on. Let's see. So I can't zoom... Yeah, I can zoom in. It's very finicky still. Like, I can't zoom into this machine, but I can. But no, I'm really curious to know what how the devs did this. All these different items. Did they all personally, see, now I can't zoom out. There we go. Did they all get these little items? And I say little, they're not all too little, but did they get these items and then take them apart themselves, or have someone take them apart for them in a video and they like studied it and then they made a model completely after it in this game? It's kind of impressive how in detailed, especially like if you're into tinkering and you're into how things work. You could definitely get a deep dive, like, oh, this is, how does this work, and this goes from that and this to that and that and to this. You know, some people are really fascinated over the engineering of how some things are made, right? But to me, face value, I don't know much about engineering and mechanical stuff and things of that nature, but to me, it feels like it's pretty, like, it's pretty detailed, right? It's pretty detailed. Let's see. Do we have any spanners? Yeah, we have a lot of spanners. I'm just the guy that plays the game, right? I'm not the guy that appreciates maybe how some people would when it comes to these little things, right? There we go. Go. Awesome. Like this, you know, you would look at it and you'd be like, wow, this isn't, you know, how is this as complicated as I wasn't thinking that this was going to be as complicated as it is. Well, believe it or not, it is very complicated. There's so many tiny things, and I'm going to have to clean every single part. Now, speaking of that, I did ask you guys in the last video, if you guys made it up to a certain point in the video, I did ask you guys for some suggestions on what I should have done and where I should have gone as far as money-wise, and what I should save up for and where I should go. Because we are going to be building, or not building, we are going to be buying a, oh my lord. Oh my lord. We are going to be buying a, what do you call it? A big toy? A big tool. We're gonna be buying a big tool today, you know, the one of the 3 big dogs, and it seems like people are kind of, the majority at least, they all seem that we should get the sandblaster. So I think we're gonna be diving into the sandblaster, so that's what we're gonna be investing our money into. So I'm very excited to use that, and I'm very excited to see how well it does. I'm hoping that it's not a huge disappointment and like it's like another kind of like waste of money type thing. But I have a little bit of I'm a little bit optimistic here. I feel like if I spend that much money, it should give me a good deal, right? I don't know. You think that with everything in life, right? But there's always risks no matter what. Like, oh yeah, I spent a lot of money, therefore I should get the best of the best. Sometimes that doesn't always work out. All right, so there we go. This is completely done. So now that we have all these out on the tray, you can kind of see for yourself, like, what are we working with here? Well, very simple. We are working with a tray of a sewing machine, that is on a tray. Completely done. Cool. Now, I do have to wash it, and I will wash it. But I'm not going to probably put you guys through this, so I'm going to go ahead and skip through this, and I'll bring you back when I'm done washing it. All right, so we got everything. I actually sanded. You know, I did this. Why am I drawing a blank here? But I did the cleaning, I did the scraping, and now we're going to go ahead and do the painting. Which is one of my favorite things to do in this game. Now, there is only a few pieces that we can get, at least in this one tray. I think we can go ahead and paint the base, and the base is actually made out of wood. So, for the wood, I'm going to keep it brown. I'm going to keep the, brown wood on the base. So, what should we do on top? That's a very good question. I'm kind of thinking light colors, because when I think about Danielle's sewing machine, it for sure a light color. So, I think maybe, like, we go... Well, let's go spray paint and let's pick white and then let's go with that. Yeah, like a nice white. Now, I'm not going to be doing like crazy designs or anything like that with the brush that we have now. If we had the finer brushes, I probably would do a little bit of like just silly stuff. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not very artistic at all. So I couldn't draw something with my mouse anyways, even if I wanted to, even if I could, it's just a mess. You don't want to see a hot mess now, do you? So I'm just going to kind of paint things in tone colors. So we're going to have like two-tone, I don't think I want to do this entirely white. I think I want to have a little bit of like fun with it. But at least for the entire model here, this, I don't even know what to call this exactly. I'm going to make it all white. We'll have it all white. And then maybe the accents, I call it the accents, right? The other, like the handles and stuff like that. Maybe I do something else. My first thought, I don't know why, but I'm thinking like red, but I think that's not the right color to go with. I'm thinking now, like this is like a lavender to me, but I think it turns out to be a blue color, like a dark blue color. Thinking like maybe that, yellow, back to the yellow. Like, like, I know, like we don't have a lot of options here, but in the future, we will. Just right now, we don't. But it's all right. We'll make something from it. All right, we'll do this. And again, I don't even know if this, like, spray paint is that efficient compared to the paintbrush. I kind of wish I never spent money on, like, the paintbrush. Or, sorry, the spray paint. The washcloth, the only thing I like is like the angle grinder. That's the only thing I really like out of all the upgrades. I wish I would have saved my other money on something else. It is what it is, Okay. How am I supposed to get inside there? Am I supposed to just like send it? There we go. Okay, so that's done. Let's move to a yellow. Yeah, let's see what yellow is about. And if I don't like yellow, I can switch it to maybe, let's see what the blue is like. Yeah, to me, that's just too much. So that's not the lavender I'm looking for. These are not the droids you're also looking for. This white is still not a pure white. I think it's like an offset white still for sure. It's just the whitest that we can work with right now. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to do yellow accents to go along with it. I guess have that two-tone. Very rare, maybe. I don't know. Depends on the piece if I go tritone on it. But at least for now. 2 is fine. So do this. And this gives it that little pop, right? It does give that little tiny pop that we're looking for. And then the brown wood, I think it will just go... you know what? I think this is going to look pretty good. Now as it comes in my head here. I think it's going to look pretty good. We have like this white... I almost want to say a white to bluish white tone on this piece here. We have the yellow. And then we're going to have a nice brown for the wood. It's going to make it look oldie, kind of old-fashioned-y. Just the colors alone. I don't know. Kind of like a 70s, 80s type look. You know, what's the, I forgot what the actual name of it, but like there's like a yellow and brown kind of color tone that was very popular back then. Um, that you would mix with certain clothing. I forgot what it's called, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm very thinking niche here, so it's okay if you don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, here we go. Let's go brown. This should look good. Yeah, I think this is gonna look okay. I guess we won't know until we put it all together. Anything that ever was wood, I feel like should be brown or black. I know that's not true, but, you know, I'm kind of working with what I got here. We'll keep this brown. Yeah, we'll keep the wood brown. I'm not going to mix any of these woods and make them look different or anything like that. But this right here, if we had other brushes, finer tip brushes or whatever it might be, whatever they're going to add in the future, this would be a perfect thing to kind of like write on, right? You know what? I might throw something in here. So I don't know which board it is. Or I guess it's this board, but I don't know what side it is. What side is the bottom and what side is the top, right? If I know like the bottom of this board, I know what I want to try to do. And I'll try to do it regardless. I don't know how it will come out. But I'm going to give it a run for it. Because this brown is actually reminding me of something in particular. And having a nice flat surface is also reminding me of something in particular. So let's see here. Is this the, hang on a sec, is this the, is that might be the top? That might be the top? I guess you can kind of tell if you look at the holes here. I think this is the bottom. Yeah, I think this is the bottom. Okay, so I'm kind of convinced just because of the size of the holes that this is the bottom. Since that's the case, I'm going to make and do what I'm going to do on the bottom here. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. No, actually, I'm not going to tell you. It's going to be a surprise. Only a few select people will know what I'm doing. Hopefully. I don't know. It's very pop culture-y to know it, maybe. I don't know. But I'm going to attempt it. I think this is a big enough surface to try. Actually, I don't think it's going to work because I can't stop. I can't stop spraying, right? It's a constant spray. I have no control over this, so I'll attempt it, but I don't think it's going to go very well. So I'm going to go black, and then I'm gonna go, oh god, yeah, it's definitely not gonna work. I'm just canceling that. The brush is just too wide. This brown and black writing, I was gonna put Andy. I was gonna put Andy on the back of it or on the bottom of it, and then on the bottom of the sewing machine, it would say Andy on it. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know. I was just trying to be a little bit creative. No. Go back to the other tray, please. Thank you so much. I don't know. I think that would have been cool. But the brush is just too damn thick. The brush is too thick. Who would have guessed? Like this, honestly, should probably go with brushes. There we go. That might go a little bit faster. I think I heard Danielle pull into the driveway, so if the dogs get a little bit spicy or a little bit wild, forgive me. I know it happens like every video. I don't know. At least to me, it feels like it happens every video where the dogs just go wild. Now, sometimes they bark because they hear stuff outside, which I don't know why or what they could possibly hear outside. And then sometimes, you know, their mom comes home and they think it's an intruder. Every time. Like they have a window, right? They have a window to look outside to the driveway, and they use that window. They go up to it and they look out the window. And for some reason, with their own eyes, they're still convinced that it's it's an intruder coming to the door. So they sit there at the door and they bark and they bark and they bark and they bark, even though they know who just walked up to the front door. They still bark and they bark and they bark. And like Mercy, she has a very like high pitched bark because she's part Chihuahua, right? But Bella, my God, that dog. Anytime you hear anybody barking, like dog wise, in the videos, 100% it's Bella. She, for some reason, has like the deepest, manliest bark out of any dog I've ever owned. Like she's got some vocals on her. I don't know what it is. Bella is a rescued dachshund. We did rescue her about in 2017. So that was about 5 years ago now. So, oh my God. What? 5 years ago? It was January 2017. I've had this dog for a half a decade. Oh my God, that makes me sad. That makes me so sad. But we rescued her. She was not a puppy. We had her as well. We got her when she was an adult, and she's been like the best dog ever. She's super intelligent, and I don't know, dude. That dog, I love that dog. Love that dog a lot. But yeah, 5 years. I can't believe 5 years I've had that dog. It's kind of insane. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I don't know why I had to go on that there, but it is what it is. There we go. Awesome. And then we'll do this. And we will finish this off. This will be our last piece. And let's put this bad boy together. Yeah, I mean, I expect this to look somewhat decent, you know, with the color combination we got going on. Now, the hardest part here is putting this thing back together. So, do it. Put it back together. Okay, maybe not that. Maybe not that. Maybe not that. All right, let's put it back together. Let's actually put it together. I'm ready to do it. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, there we go. Perfect. There we go. Come on, come on. So a lot of like small touchy things here. I'm not like thrilled about the little pipe in things here. I'm more thrilled about the colors coming together. Come on. Now this will, I believe, give us enough money. I think. I didn't even check to see how much money this. Oh, this is no money because this is for Grandma. Damn it, Grandma. I was going to say, this is going to be enough money to give us the sandblaster. Well, no, it's not, because Grandma's not paying us jack. She ain't paying us nothing. I think that's a spanner there. Yep, there we are, there we are, there we are. Luckily, the game is pretty easy when it comes to putting everything back together. They're pretty lenient, I guess you could say. They're like, we'll tell you where to put your mouse, and then all you have to do is click. Like, all right, thank you. Thank you for that. I like how we went from a very, remember like in the first episode, super simplified airplane that broke apart that had like 2 nails and 1 screw, like 2 nails and maybe 5 screws on it, to like this behemoth. But you know, I don't know. One question I have is like, how did our guy, right? How did our person learn how to disassemble and reassemble all these different kinds of things? Now, I know Grandpa, like, taught us how to do one thing. And it really isn't any context if, you know, through the 20 years, we continued to do this for 20 years, you know? Did we do a lot of tinkering? Was this, like, our main hobby? I don't know, you know? Because this is a lot of stuff, and this is a lot of unique stuff, and especially when it comes to, like, these older things. Pulling them apart, it's not as, you know... To at least a younger generation, right? It's not as simplified as we think it is, right? All we see is like the cover. We don't really see what's underneath the cover, right? Anyways, that's it completely put together. Honestly, I think it's pretty good. I think that was a good color. You know? We do have the...
Yes?
Wait, we didn't put the white part on.
How does this thing work?
Sewing machine? Now remember what?
We didn't put the shell on.
You'll prick your finger again and Grandma will be unhappy.
But Grandma uses it all the time. How did she learn to use it?
Well, she taught herself. You know, she was the best tailor in the whole city. She even made clothes for the mayors.
Really? No way.
Yeah, no kidding. Truly the best.
The sewing machine says finger.
But I don't want to sew. I just want to see how it works.
Well, that's something I can show you. But one question at a time.
So that's a good... I mean, that's a little bit of context, right? Because the child's like, I don't want to learn how to sew. I want to know how it works. And Grandpa said in good time, I'll show you. So, okay, all right. So maybe that's eventually in the 20-year span. Maybe Grandpa went ahead and taught us, like, the basics of how a sewing machine works, and then maybe there was a day where we just took one apart or whatever and learned more about it. No, you can make your own story there, I guess, for how that goes. But there we go. Grandma should be very happy with what we did. Let's go ahead and end today. We are now going to September 12th. And we have 2 contracts coming in, one from John Graham and one from George Ido. George Ido says, I'm writing to you in a very personal matter. It may not sound as such, but recently I've discovered a spiral jack or jack screw lying in my attic. It is of American make. And after some digging, I discovered it has been used in an auto workshop during the New Deal, where my grandfather worked to sustain his family amid the Great Depression. For many years, my grandfather corresponded with his friend from the workshop, and looking through the notes, I believe that the spiral jack I'd like to send you saved his life when a car tumbled down from a support platform. Now the paint has chipped and the lead screw is completely stuck due to rust, but if possible, I would like to have it restored. If anything, this item deserves a second life, just like the one it gave to my grandpa. If you agree, I will send this right away to you. I agree. John Graham, so hey, I am opening a small venture aimed at showcasing daily life in the American outback, showing how much could be done far from huge population centers, sewer system, and electricity, things that we take for granted while our ancestors could not. Showcasing a homestead void of modern luxuries requires a lot of items hard to come by, but I did manage to get my hands on a lever-operated bread cutter after some minor restoration. It will be a beautiful addition to an old-timey kitchen in the mountains of Wyoming. I do not have any replacement parts on hand, but the cutter is in fairly good condition. Not that I want to lecture an expert on things I cannot manage myself. Smiley face. If you have any questions before accepting the commission, I will try to help however I can. So both items seem pretty interesting, I do have to say. Love to see that. Love to hear that. So that's good to see. It talked about like the modern luxuries, like trying to teach people how things were back in the day. Instantly, the first thing I think of is what was it called? God, what was it called? Oh man, I forgot the show. Oh, Carousel of Progress. Carousel of Progress. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear like showing what it was back in the 1910s and the 1920s, and then showing all the like appliances and the devices. That's a good show, by the way, and that is a show at a place called Disney. But it was something that Walt Disney wanted to showcase for the future, and kind of keep it present and updated as decades and decades and generations went on and on. Now, there is a video on YouTube of Carousel of Progress, and if you are interested of something how kind of like a history portray of like the 1920s going into the 2000s, you could say, from old technology, and as we progress through the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and all that up until now, it's a pretty cool show, and it's a very, very informative, and I love the show a lot because there is a great big beautiful tomorrow. That is one of the songs and one of the quotes in that show. So anyways, this is a spiral jack commonly used to lift cars up to work on their underside. The screw is tough and can be handled with a lot of weight, especially in old American cars, which did have a lot of weight. Let's actually do the bread cutter first. A classic coffee grinder from the late 40s, mass-produced by Grind and Sprinkle Company factories. At one time, a sign of good taste and American technical thought. Today, only a memory of time past. Let's do that. So this is going to give us $45. This should be a very simple and easy thing, maybe. Hopefully, I said that last time, but look where we were at. Does this take the spanner? That does take a spanner. Do both sides. This is an interesting device. I don't think I have personally ever seen anything like that, and there's good reason to that because, you know, thankfully enough, right? Thankfully enough. Let me say that first of all. Thankfully enough, I never needed to ever use such thing, right? Thanks to modern technology. But yeah, so this is kind of interesting in its own self. There's only a few parts here, not a lot to really take from. There we go. Shouldn't be too hard. Shouldn't be a lot to handle. Only thing that I really need to handle is going ahead and rusting it off, or unrusting it, I should say. Sandblasting it. That's the right word I'm looking for. But I'm hoping this will finally give us the funds to do that. And the reason why I did this over the other device is because I felt like this was going to be more simplified than the jack, and I would rather do the more easier object so that we can grab the money as quickly as we can, so that we can go ahead and get that sandblaster as fast as we can. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. It looks like this is mostly red, so probably will restore it and give it its natural color of red when that time does come. But I will bring you guys when I am back, or when I get done washing it. All right, so we got everything done, everything sanded, everything washed. Let's go ahead and get into the paint. It did trip. It did take off all of the old paint, so I will do red again, and I'll keep it red. I think I'm just gonna go the whole thing red too, because even I think there's like that little bit of base that's on this cutter, that was also red. And oh god, I'm kind of, it's not like, I don't know if it's like a wood. It was a different material than what we have here, but I believe it was like a red as well. It's kind of hard to tell because it was like all dirty and rusted, but yeah, we're just gonna go all red here. Maybe this will make it look good. Hopefully, I have no idea. Now, bread cutting, I don't know the actual history of bread cutting. I don't know if it was a common appliance in real life. And I'm trying to fathom it a little bit, trying to think about that. Because if you have bread cutting, a bread cutting instrument, then that would automatically assume that you're making bread at home, right? And I would have to say, making bread at home back then was probably and I'm saying back then, as in like the 40s, the 30s, that it was a very common thing to do. Yeah, I assume it was. It's not like people don't really make bread nowadays at home. Like you're not gonna find someone that's gonna be you're not gonna find people that are gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna go make some bread when I get home. If they're baking anything, it's gonna be something like, you know, treat-wise or whatever it is. And I don't think it has, you know, I do feel like there's a lot of cooks out there in the world, and I do feel like there's a lot of bakers out there in the world, but I think we just have so many options. I do. I feel like we have, as a generation now, I think we have so much easy to use tools and a lot of options to where making bread, hang on, go back to that other tray. Making bread it's something that we just don't think about. But it's not that hard to make bread. Like, it's a very simple process. It's probably more complicated to make cupcakes than it is to make bread. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think we're just so used to the idea that you go to the store to buy bread that why don't you just make bread, you know? You know, we go to the store and we're like, oh my God, they're out of sourdough. What are we going to do? They're out of white bread. What are we going to do? Well, it looks like we have to change our entire dinner plan. Well, yeah, probably, but some people would say, I say probably as some people would say, but at the same time, it's not that, like, there's not a lot of ingredients in bread. It really isn't, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know why we just, as people, you know, as like, I don't know, do you guys make bread at home? Maybe you make bread all the time. And I'm not, you know, we're not talking, and this is hardly bread. I would say it's hardly bread, but you know, I'm speaking from just practicality here. Pumpkin bread, like, look, I'm like the best. Like, I love pumpkin bread. I love banana bread. Great stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like just regular loaves of bread. You know, it's not exciting. You would say pumpkin bread and banana bread have a lot of similarities to a loaf of bread, to creating a loaf of bread, right? But we don't do it because it's not exciting. Why would I want to make bread? When I'm finished making bread, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm probably going to use it what it was made for. Anything that you can, you know, eat it by itself. You can have soup with it. You can have a sandwich with it. You can do whatever you like with bread. You can make even other things with bread. But I don't know. I don't think it's like a very exciting thing that we think about. Because it's like if you're making banana bread or pumpkin bread, you can also make regular bread. But we don't want to do that. We'll buy the bread, and most of the time we just buy the bread as it is at the store, right? Maybe what has to do with that is maybe back in the day, speaking again, like early 1900s. Well, I say early 1900s, but I'm talking like more of like the 30s and 40s, since this is what this is based out of, right? Maybe it wasn't a very, I'm gonna actually change this not to red. I'm gonna change this to white. Maybe it wasn't a very common thing to have in grocery stores. I don't know. You know what would be very interesting to see? It'd be very, very interesting to see the differences between grocery stores today and grocery stores then, right? I don't know. I think that would be really, really cool to see. Like, what kind of stuff, because, you know, technology, transportation, especially transportation, has all changed since. So getting certain items and having certain items to your disposal, you know, it almost was based on your your geography, where you lived, right? Now you can get anything from anywhere practically, and that's just is what it is. That's just modern technology and transportation. But I don't know. I wonder what kind of cool things that you've, or like how many cool things that people, you know how am I trying to say this? You know how people like make things, like they make their own things, their own side things. They become more creative with food. Um, I wonder how creative people were back then in the day, right? What secret recipes or what long ancestral recipes are out there that were lost over time? You know, it's interesting to think about. That's what the whole family recipe is. Like, oh, we have family recipe. This has been in my family for generations and generations. Well, not so much. We don't do that anymore, really, much now, right? I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong. There could be a lot of families out there that do that. But to me, like, conversation with, I mean, yes, even for myself, I will admit there is a family, or my family, I should say. There is my family that does have their own family recipe. I don't know. Is it a common thing? I feel like nowadays, we don't really cook for ourselves, admittedly. We don't cook for ourselves because it's a lot easier for other things to cook. Uh, us food, right? I'm buying the blaster, by the way. So there we go. We got the blaster. And you could definitely be like, oh, you know, kids these days, they'll never have the skill to cook. Well, that's very, very true. You could definitely say that, absolutely. But at the same time, you could say we focus our skills on other things, right? We could say that we focused our skills on other things. But what was something that was not around back in the day? Back during these times? Well, it's very simple. It's very easy. It's something that has only been around for like really, I'd say on an everyday basis for only like maybe 20 or 30 years, if that, on an everyday basis. Like it's part of everybody's, like, not okay. Now let me bring this back a little bit. Maybe this one thing has only been around, right? Has only been around on a very common base, like lives, like everybody's life, like everyone is affected by it type thing. This one thing has maybe only been around for maybe 15 to 20 years. And it's something that is forever progressing. It is something that is forever evolving. It is something that we are forever learning. And it's something that will probably never, ever go away. Ever in our lives. And you guess what that is? You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. It's called technology, right? So it's technology. So you could definitely say that back in the day, people had wonderful skills, wonderful hand skills, wonderful cooking skills. A lot of people had it. A lot of people did it. However, they didn't have a lot to do, right? They had a TV back in the 1950s, right? They had, it was a very big deal to have colored TV in the 60s, and maybe they got 1 to 2 channels, you know? Maybe they got 1 to 2 channels at best, right? And they didn't have TVs in every single room like we do now today. Like every room, including our bathrooms, have TV. Is that just me? Am I the only one with a TV in my bathroom? I'm kidding. I wish I did sometimes. I don't know. But that's what our phones are. Our phones are basically our TVs in our bathroom, right? Anyways, yeah, so I mean, You know, there wasn't a lot other than, you know, what was, let's see, what was there to do? What was there to do and what was there to learn? And I'm not talking like socializing, and I'm not talking about talking with other people in the world that we had, because that's a whole different thing. I'm actually talking like skill wise. What were things that people were more skillful for, or willing to learn, right?
So I guess I'll double down.
There's that song again. There's that song again. Really, like they go to work, right? You went to work, you did your hard-earned work. Oh my God, go away. Just turn it off.
So I guess I'll
It's not going away.
down now that I'm old enough to say
Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that people went to work,
to the
people came home, and what did they do when they come home? Well, they probably went to bed at like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and woke up at 4 to 5 a.m. because there was nothing to do. You know, with technology, there's entertainment, there's skills, there's jobs, there's security, there's protection,
aftermath.
and it's forever evolving. And unfortunately, once upon a time, between the 90s, I would say, the 80s, I would say the 90s, I would say mostly the 90s and the early 2000s, there was a generation that completely fell off I say completely fell off. I say that dramatically. Completely didn't, there was a time where a generation did not learn technology, and it hurt the generation more than help the generation. You know what I mean? So I think nowadays, like I said, it's a lot easier to just have things get done for yourself, but I also believe that it saves you a lot of time to do a lot of other things. Now, the big thing is about that, though, is how you choose to use your time. Now, even though technology is a forever evolving door that helps us every single day, and without technology, we wouldn't have modern society. It's a great thing. You have to embrace it. Now, there's a lot of older generations that refuse to embrace it, and I know that because that's the generation that Danielle works with on an everyday basis. Unfortunately, there's going to be a time where people do not embrace technology, or there might be, I'm saying might be, a generation that doesn't embrace technology, and they are unfortunately going to get left behind. And that's the sad truth about it, unfortunately, because, you know, God forbid, and you see it all the time, right? When it comes to older people, you know, they are happy with their cellular device. For one thing, it took them a long time to get their own cellular device, and believe it or not, they're flipping open the flip phone that's a track phone that they got at their local, you know, Metro PCS store, or like whatever it is, right? They were happy with that phone. They did no texting. They paid for minutes, $20 a month, and they made their calls when they needed to make their calls, and that was that. But now, what's happening when it comes to companies around the world, and when it comes to just really almost anything, is that we have to really rely on not cell phones, well, yeah, cell phones, but not just cell phones, but we have to rely on a lot of smartphones. That's where it starts to become complicated, right? You have someone, and believe me, I used to sell cell phones once upon a time, almost 10 years ago, and believe it or not, the older generation had a very hard time kind of comprehending the smartphone, and they didn't want to know what all the blows and the whistles that went about it, but they needed to learn, because maybe that's how they pick up their prescription nowadays. Maybe that's how they get in contact with whatever company they're working for nowadays, right? You know, it's in some things, and like maybe that's how they check their banking nowadays. Now, of course, you could say, well, they have their computer. Yeah, you're definitely right. But if you imagine yourself right now, like, I know it's kind of weird to think, like, I know, good Lord, I know that in this world, you probably own a cell phone. If you're watching this video, you probably own a cell phone, and you probably have a bank account or some sort of account where money is put into, and you probably have an app to that. Now, if you don't have an app and you don't have a cell phone for your banking or wherever your money is dispersed to so that you can check on it, I'll be surprised. I'll be very surprised. And if you heavily rely on the internet alone, a computer to check your statements, I will be very surprised, you know? That might have been a thing in the late 90s, maybe early 90s, early 2000s. Not so much anymore, right? Because there's a little convenience thing that your smartphone is attached to when it comes to your banking. It's called security and it's called fraud, and that you can learn when someone has breached your account within seconds or minutes. You know, those are very important tools to have in a daily life, especially now where cyber warfare is starting to become a possible thing. Well, not a possible thing. It is a thing. Cyber warfare is a big thing, and to combat corruption and combat hacking and things like that, it's a real deal there. So if you had a bank account, for instance, you had a bank account that didn't have those security protections, then damn, first of all, right? And then how would you know? You would have to log into your computer every day. And I'm sure the people that do have the computer, that do have the bank accounts, that don't have the smartphones, they're not checking their bank account every single day. Anyways, I go on and on and on, and I digress extremely just now with the fact over technology. But yeah, I don't know. You might ask, like, for me though, why did you never like pick up a cooking skill? Well, I honestly, I really never had an interest in it. Yeah, isn't that weird to say? And that goes back to the how easy things are to make, right? Food. Like, oh yeah, I can always get food whenever I want because nobody's not gonna not make it for me. Like, I'm talking like fast food restaurants or whatever that, or I cannot not figure it out dumbly, very quick and easy to get food myself, right? So it's just never a skill that I always wanted to pursue. Now, I can't be the only one, obviously, probably not, but I know some people are gonna be very upset over that. Well, why would you not want to cook, and like that's how you survive? Well, maybe almost 100 years ago it was, but not so much now. And I know what you could say, and I know exactly what you could say. There could be doomsday, and then doomsday will come, and then you'll have to figure it out. And yeah, okay, when doomsday comes, let's, like, this whole, like, you know, this whole like this whole thing where, okay, let's see here. First of all, let's sandblast this thing and see. Let's try this out. Let's try out our new toy, and I'll get back to my point here. How good is this? Is it better? Is it worth the money? I don't know. You can be the judge. It is, I guess, faster. I just wish the radius was a little bit bigger. Yeah, I wish the radius was a little bit bigger, but that's fine. It does the job. I don't know, dude. The upgrades just seem a little lackluster. A little bit in this game. Just a tiny, tiny bit. But anyways, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, the whole possibility with the current events that are in this world, and people are saying, what happens if we have no society anymore, and what happens if we have a World War III, or what happens if we have a nuclear warfare that ever were to come, then I don't want to live in a world where there is nuclear warfare. I don't. I don't. Can you imagine? How are you going to survive a nuclear warfare? I simply won't, and I simply don't want to. I don't have the strength, the physical strength. I don't have the mental strength to survive during an apocalypse, during a time where there is nuclear disaster. If that time ever does come, then you can make me the center of attention here on a bomb. Like, you can just drop it on me. I know it's very selfish for me to say, and probably, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but I just personally wouldn't want to live in a nuclear world anyways. So, and yeah, the possibility is always out there. There's always a possibility for everything, right? And I don't know. I know it's a very touchy subject, but it's just, that's the raw dog in me, I guess, coming out. The raw dog, bringing out the raw emotion. I don't know. So if there ever was a time and someone wants to argue that, you know, you should learn a cooking skill in case there's a nuclear disaster where you have to live off of the land, I don't want to live in a nuclear wasteland. I have no desire. I have no desire to live in a wasteland. Sorry. Why would I try to like survive in a wasteland, right? If we talk about like Fallout and things like that, I mean, I know Fallout is a very extreme fictional story, but I mean, that's the closest thing that we can kind of imagine, I guess, as gamers, as to a nuclear apocalypse, right? If the world was 20% as close to what Fallout is, I don't want to live in that world, you know? I think I could probably speak for a lot of people there as well. But yeah, go do that. By the way, Danielle's home. Dog bark. Bark, bark, bark. Danielle's home. All right. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and blast all this stuff, and then I'll get back to you when this is done. Okay, so we are at the paint station, and now we have this whole thing here. Honestly, I wish I could just, like, kind of keep the chrome, and that will be that. Because I think the chrome would look really good with it. But I don't know. I could go all black, so let's just go all black, I guess. Maybe. Yeah, we'll go all black. We'll go all black, and then what I'll do is I will bring you back when it is all black. Alright, so we got it all painted black. It's all looking good. Now the last thing we just need to do is put it all together. Very simple, very fast, very easy process here. And then we are all basic set here. This actually looks pretty good, though. I do have to say, it being all black, not a bad color for it. The black with the chrome actually really does go very well together. I don't know why the top isn't. Why do we not put the top on things anymore? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it is what it is. Anyways, that's a good claim. We can go ahead and make that money. Very well. There we go. Claim that money. Thank you so much. And then we can move on to the next date, which is September 13th. Yes, yes, yes. It is September 13th with a new mail from Miss Mabel, our grandmother. But that's going to be it in today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Workshop Simulator. I know this was a very long episode. It was a little bit of a doozy, but I hope you guys enjoyed it regardless. Thank you guys so much. And if you made it this far into the episode, wow. Take a deep breath, because I sure need to. Anyways, thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next video. Do take care.
Hey there, stranger. I was just thinking about the last time. It feels like last night. Yeah.